everybody, I'm Amber.
And I'm Maddie.
And we're Witches Talking Tarot. And today we're here to talk about honoring fairies.
Particularly during the winter months. During the spring and the summertime, it's really easy to go out and honor the nature spirits.
Yes.
In nature, right?
Yeah,
While
you go
you're
out,
gardening.
you be in their space, you acknowledge them, you speak to them.
Right.
I speak to them aloud. That's not for everybody, but that's me.
Right.
I speak to the trees aloud and the plants that I see that acknowledge me. So let's be clear, it's not for everybody, and that's okay.
Well, let's just.
But it's a way of honoring things.
Let's just do a little disclaimer. Everybody's beliefs on fairies are totally different.
Mm-hmm.
And right now we are kind of discussing our practice and our beliefs with the Fae. I'd love to hear what you guys think and your opinions on the Fae.
Right.
I know they have a bad rep. Some of them have a great rep.
Right.
It's very
we were talking and I said, I don't necessarily believe all the Fae propaganda, but I don't believe it's all propaganda either. And that's really a good way to put my beliefs, and we'll get there as we work through the video. We just know it can be a touchy subject. Some people go, oh my god, you cannot. Well, we're gonna get there, because trust me, you accidentally can. Trust me.
Right. And you don't want to piss them off.
You don't want to piss them off, because like I said, I don't necessarily believe all the propaganda, but I don't necessarily believe it's all propaganda either.
Right. So do you want to talk about how you honor the Fae then?
Yeah, so I have come up with a new moon ritual in which usually before or after our lives, I go and I leave offerings of honey and cream to the Fae in my garden.
Or is it always there the next day, or has it been missing a couple times?
Oh, it's usually gone within a couple of days, but I learned recently that when making offerings to the Fae, it should always be in a natural object. So I had gotten a special pottery dish that I thought was very nice, and I thought the Fae would appreciate. But it turns out they prefer their offerings be made in natural items, like nutshells or something like that. So the last time this last new moon, I put my offering of honey inside a rose petal. And that was completely gone.
Oh my gosh.
So I think
the rose petal gone and everything?
Oh, everything. It was gone. Now we'll get to why I do a new moon ritual for the Fae, and it is thus. During 2020, when my husband had lots of extra time on his hands because he went from working 5 days a week to working about 2 to 3 days a week, he built what we referred to in 2020 as the COVID garden. Now we just call it the Blackberry Garden, because the blackberries took that sumbitch over.
That's awesome.
It is. Awesome, but we, my husband loves gnomes, so there's a lot of gnomes in the garden. And the gnomes go along with the fairies that were gotten from me for Mother's Day in the garden.
So it's like all spirits.
It is. And it was an accident, though, because see, when they got me the fairies for the garden, I liked them, but I didn't realize that I was inviting fairies into my garden by putting out fairy iconography.
Mm-hmm.
And then things started to go a little haywire, and I realized I had fairies and gnomes in my garden that I had invited there, and I wasn't honoring. So that's how the new moon ritual came about. The gnomes are also honored, but since they're my husband's, he took it upon himself to do the honor, take the honor of honoring the gnomes, and he drinks whiskey with them. He takes a shot of whiskey and he leaves them a shot of whiskey.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, and I even told him to use like the rock gut bullshit that we just have around.
Right,
and he was like, no, I gotta be a good host. And he drank his nice whiskey with them.
Oh, that's so nice.
He made my heart go a flutter.
Well, I got into the working, I don't want to say necessarily working with Fae, but honoring the Fae.
Right.
When I first started my herb garden, this was years ago, maybe like 4 or 5 years ago. And so what I would do was I left crystals for the nature spirits in my plants. And then it got cold and I brought my plants in. And that's how, they came about my house.
Well, and I mean, that's how this episode came about, because Maddie was saying she needs to do that.
Right.
And it made me realize I need to do that because I inadvertently invited them into my home.
I think that's how a lot of
So,
people do it.
I know, so we
that.
thought this would be a good video to make for
Right.
those who are like me and inadvertently invite the Fae in.
Right. So you were talking about leaving offerings for the Fae
Mhm.
in biodegradable
Yes,
or
the
natural things.
Yes, that's what
I
read.
first started
prefer.
leaving offerings of a little cat full of wine and a seashell I had. That's
awesome.
what I would. Sometimes I would sprinkle lavender in there. I took
love
pictures because it looks so pretty. But I had
Right.
lavender and rose hips and some wine.
Mm.
And then it got
That's
to the point
beautiful.
where I was just leaving cups of water because that's accepted as well. They take all the the cleansing and the energy from the water, but also acorns, which brings us to honoring the Fae while inside your home and not having them run a fucking muck in your house because
Right.
they will.
They
Trust
will.
me.
Yeah. Again, not all propaganda is propaganda when it comes
Exactly.
to the Fae.
So I guess you could honor them outside during the winter months.
Yeah.
If you were to leave an offering outside or have a little altar type
you
thing
know,
set
and
up.
we'll talk about it more, but as we discussed, there are winter Fae. Every culture
Exactly.
has
Right, I
different.
love the winter
Well, I
Fae.
say every culture. Most cultures that I have read about have Fae culture.
Right.
They have Fae tales of some sort. Maybe they don't call them fairies like the Celts do, but you know, they, like you mentioned, even there's Slavic winter Fae.
Russian. There's even
so-
Native American type Fae. There's like
there's
so
lots of
many
different
all
out
over
there.
the world.
Yeah.
But anyway, I'm really excited for the winter Fae. I think that should be a topic of discussion
mean,
because I could go
yeah, we
all
could go
out,
on, but
all
I think
out.
lights would probably be a great thing to leave as
Oh my gosh,
offerings
the
or
little
making a home.
sunlights.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
that's so
Well, and
cute.
I was
You can get them
thinking
from the
those
Dollar
deck lights. I
Tree.
mean, put white or blue Christmas lights out on your back deck to
oh wow,
put a little illumination into the dark for the Fae.
I love that.
So you don't even necessarily have to bring them in like what Maddie and I were talking about personally earlier. You can honor your outdoor Fae, but as we also said, you know, it's cold and the Fae like to be warm. So if you are comfortable bringing those items inside to honor the Fae, just make sure you do it on a regular basis. When I set up my new moon honorings of the Fae, I had a long discussion with them. I said, look guys, I realized I invited you in my garden and then I didn't acknowledge you. You know, one of the statues got a wing broken off and, you know, we left it because I don't throw away things just because like something
of course
breaks,
not.
you know?
Who does that?
I don't know. I guess I assume that people do and that they would think it looks bad that I don't, but whatever. That's my assumption, and so guess maybe I'm wrong. But, you know, I talked to them and I said, I didn't mean to not honor you after inviting you in. I didn't necessarily know what I was doing when I did that, but I did it, and you came, and I feel your presence, and so I want to honor you, and I'm going to do this every new moon. And that's my deal with you. You guys don't fuck with my life, and I honor you every new moon.
Deal with the Fae.
Yeah.
Don't forget. Yeah, right. Don't forget.
As above, so below.
So for me, they're more attached to my garden and my plants, and you know, I bring in my plants, and they happen to be attached. And I like to think when I water my plants, that's a nice little offering to the nature spirits because they're attached to the plants.
Yep,
exactly.
fair
That being said, you can leave little acorns, little walnuts, a cup of water, like suggested, honey, cream. But
honey,
not many people want to do that in their home. You don't want to bring bugs.
But
or
honey
mice.
and milk, that is my go-to for the Fae because that is my main mental association is honey, milk, and butter for the Fae.
Oh, absolutely.
And you know what? Nuts are also very good.
Oh, yeah.
So, and you can leave those out as an offering, even in their shell. It's a decoration. My mom had nuts, like shelled, like not shelled, but in shell nuts out all fall and winter as decoration and snacks because we had nutcrackers. So you pop a hazelnut open and eat it, and there's still a bunch of nuts
even
left. So.
fallen leaves.
Yeah, fallen leaves are a great offering in this time of year. For more than just the Fae.
Right.
All sorts of spirits.
Exactly. Yeah. So how do you guys plan on honoring the Fae this winter? Do you plan on honoring the Fae, or is that not something you're necessarily interested in?
Yeah, and what do you think? Let us know in the comments.
Exactly.
We would love to engage with you guys. We're so excited.
We're new YouTubers.
Yeah, we're bringing a podcast.
Yes, right. So
We want to know
any
what you
engagement
think.
is encouraging.
Anything.
So
Let us know.
Don't forget to follow us on Twitter at The Classiest Witches.
And our Instagram, which is Talking Tarot.
We're also on Patreon, and we've got some really cool, exciting gifts for you guys there, including a monthly horoscope. Sure, yeah.
Since you brought up the Patreon, I know we're closing, but our $20 tier for the Patreon includes this lovely keychain with our logo. It's the first Witches Talking Tarot branded merch.
I'm so excited. I'm going to
Branded
use mine.
merch,
I'm so
guys.
excited.
Branded merch.
As well as stickers and behind-the-scenes content and a bunch of other exciting stuff. We're just
Check out the Patreon.
Witches Talking Tarot on Patreon. All these links will be in the description.
Yes. And while you're there reading the description, make sure you like the video, like our channel, and subscribe so you can see more of this wonderful Witches Talking Tarot content.
Right.
Yes.
All right. Bye, guys.
Bye,
Thanks
guys.
for joining
Thanks
us.
for